Hey there guys, Brian Henney here, and both the Democrats and Republicans have their primary elections in the state of New York today, and actually voting is going to be closing pretty soon, so I apologize for getting this out so late, but I'll try to make this quick. Let's take a look at the polls real quick. So as you can see here, Real Clear Politics aggregate of all the polls has Hillary Clinton up by just under 12%, and the largest poll was the CBS News YouGov poll from last week, which has Hillary Clinton up by 10%. And on the Republican side, we have a very close race, with Donald Trump leading the way with a slight margin of about 30%, followed by John Kasich in second, slightly ahead of Ted Cruz. Obviously, I'm joking about that. Donald Trump has a massive lead in the state of New York, which I guess makes sense. He's from New York, and I guess it makes sense that he would resonate in that sort of state. It also certainly makes sense that Ted Cruz is in third, even though it's only slightly behind John Kasich. For those of you who remember Ted Cruz's New York values comment, it's actually surprising that he even has over 10%, because it was not something that you would think people would hear, oh, New York values, and then be like, I want to vote for that guy who thinks that I have bad values. So that, you know, it's not surprising that he's in third. John Kasich, even though he's irrelevant, is doing better than him, but obviously Donald Trump is going to win. I would say he'll probably win by, I guess I'll say at least over 25, which seems pretty safe. But you know what? I'm going to go with over 30. I'm going to say Donald Trump wins by over 30% and gets over 80 delegates, because New York for the Republicans is a winner-take-most state. I'm not sure exactly how they disperse those, but I do know that Wisconsin was a winner-take-most state, and Ted Cruz got 36 of the 42 delegates. So I would assume that New York is similar to that, and I would say since Ted Cruz won by 13 and got 36 of 42 delegates, I think it's pretty safe to say Donald Trump's going to get at least 80 delegates out of the 95 delegates in New York. So big win for Donald Trump. Nobody is questioning that. That's obvious. On the Democratic side, I'm going to go with a 5 to 10 point win for Hillary Clinton, which is unfortunate as a Bernie Sanders supporter, but you know, I'm just keeping it real. That's my objective opinion. I hope that we can have a Michigan-like upset, but it's not likely. Michigan was an open primary, New York is a closed primary, and you had to register as a Democrat in the New York primary in, I think it was October of last year, so there aren't new people that were previously independents that just recently joined the Democratic Party specifically to vote for Bernie Sanders. So that's definitely going to hurt. But I think that, you know, all of those polls that I showed where Hillary Clinton has a 10+ point lead don't take into account last week's debate, which could have made an impact. I don't know if it will. The only one that might have is that most recent Emerson poll, which Emerson is the same people that I said in a previous video had Hillary Clinton with a 48% lead just a month ago in New York. So I take all of their polls with a grain of salt. They're not very reliable. So I would say that CBS News and YouGov poll seems to be the most reliable one to go off of, but it doesn't take in last week's debate into account. I don't know how much of a difference it's going to make, because I don't think it was like a big win for Bernie Sanders or anything. But I'm still going to go with a 5 to 10 point win for Hillary Clinton. Could be more than that. It's pretty unlikely Bernie Sanders is going to win, unfortunately, but that's what I expect to happen. Overall, the narrative coming out of it is probably going to be that on the Democratic side, that Hillary Clinton just furthered her lead. You know, she's still the presumptive nominee. You know, she's got it back, everything like that. I don't know about all that. It's not going to mean it's over, but it certainly doesn't help. She does have a pretty good lead. I mean, I don't include superdelegates, but it's going to put her back over 200 for sure. So Bernie Sanders is not out of it, but he definitely needs to do well, especially in Pennsylvania and California. But he also needs to really do well in the remaining states aside from those two. But those are the biggest ones going forward. But I don't think that he's going to be able to pull out New York. And like I said, I think it's going to be about a 5 to 10 point win for Hillary Clinton. On the Republican side, it's obviously a big win for Donald Trump. It's not going to be surprising to anyone that he's going to win by a lot. It's not going to, it's going to be called within seconds probably. I would say it'll probably be called within the first minute. The Democratic one I don't think will be called that early. I don't know how late it's going to go, but it's not going to be called right away. The Republican side will probably be called right away for Donald Trump. So, just based on exit polling. But what it means is that Donald Trump has pretty big leads in most of the states going forward. Pennsylvania, he has a pretty big lead. California, he has a pretty big lead. So, I'm going to say right now that I think Donald Trump is going to be the Republican nominee. I don't think it's going to go to a contested convention. He clearly has the easiest path to the nomination, and Ted Cruz can't realistically win. He needs over 80% of the remaining delegates, and he's going to get absolutely slaughtered in New York. He'll be lucky if he gets any delegates at all, and that's going to mean that he's going to need to win just about everything going forward, and he's losing just about everywhere going forward. So I'm going to say that after today, Donald Trump is almost assuredly going to be the Republican nominee for president, and Hillary Clinton's going to increase her odds of being the Democratic candidate, but I don't think that one's going to be as close to over as it is on the Republican side. So comment down underneath what you think, whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Like, subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.